Hey, everybody, welcome to another installment, another edition of Work Your Career Wednesday. As always, I'm Bradley Clark. I'm so thrilled, honored, and grateful that you guys decided to tune in and join us today. And, I got to tell you, this show, for us, for everybody at White Husky and everybody at Work Your Career Wednesday, there's been so many firsts, right? So many firsts. And hey, welcome to the first show that's just me. Now, I know, you saw the how to dress for an interview and stuff like that. Those were actually filmed when we were just thinking about this show and wanted to see if something would work. And it did, but this is the first one where it's gonna be me. So I hope you're entertained, man. Are you not entertained? But as always, we stand on our four E's, right? Our four E's. We want to empower, educate, encourage, and of course, we hope you're entertained a little bit too. And we got a fun show today. Lots of stuff to cover. But first, I want to talk about our amazing sponsors. Okay. First off, White Husky Films, if you have anything and everything, okay, that you want documented, you want to go see Steven Saldana over here at White Husky Films. All right, the number's on the screen for all of you listening. Just do this. Go to www.whitehuskyfilms.com. What you want to do, okay, is dream, create, record in that order. And when you choose White Husky, you will be so glad you did. And without further ado, let's talk about Jane's Physical Therapy. Oh my gosh, Jane's Physical Therapy. I've really gotten to know Casey Janes. He's managing director of Jane's Physical Therapy, absolute expert in the field. He's looking for five, not one, not two, not three, not four, but five physical therapy. Well, okay, four physical therapists, one physical therapist assistant. I urge you, go to LinkedIn, okay, in the search tab, JAYNES physical therapy. Go to that page, or you can go to the White Husky page. All right. And apply there. We have the jobs up there. Now we're looking for New Orleans and Lafayette. Okay. New Orleans, NOLA, and Lafayette, Louisiana. Physical therapy assistant, we're looking for a 2-year degree and license for the physical therapist. We're looking for a graduate degree on up to a doctor. And obviously licensed. And this is a new thing. We could relocate you. If you want to choose a new adventure, right? It's a great thing about life. Get to choose our new adventure. We'll bring you out to NOLA and you can start work. I'm gonna tell you right now, you want to work at Jane's Physical Therapy. They are everybody on the team. They're absolute experts, and I gotta tell you, it really takes somebody with a great heart to do the job in the first place. Casey Janes is, I tell you, it's amazing. So get in contact with him, get in contact with me. Okay. Go on to LinkedIn, go to the White Husky page and Jane's Physical Therapy page, apply there, shoot me a message. I can't wait to talk with you and we can go from there. Let's see what else. I got to tell you one more thing. Got in contact with some folks over at just an amazing team. If you've heard of Marcus Ogden and you tune into his show, let me tell you something. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Okay. I'm going to give you more info on that, but I got to tell you, the Seven Figure Podcast is absolutely incredible. If you have an idea, just like Work Your Career Wednesday, right? There was an idea. We birthed this idea and have gone forward to it now. We're hooking up with an amazing team. Let me tell you something. You want to look at them, okay? Victor Garcia, Marcus Ogden. Let me tell you something. You want to. Their workshops are absolutely incredible, and we'll be talking more about that in the coming weeks. But the Seven Figure Podcast, let me tell you something, it's no joke. So get in contact with me. I'll tell you all about it. But they are second to none. And the team that is going to help you, they're second to none. If you're a content creator, you're a podcaster, and in the vernacular of what we do, we are broadcasters. Okay, it's a little different when you think of yourself as a broadcaster. Yeah, you want to get in contact with them. Seven Figure Podcast, uh, second to none. Now, I am melting. My goodness, man, this home studio, boy, I tell you, the lights are hot. And even though it's cold outside, so please forgive me if I'm melting a little bit. But let's get on with the show. My goodness, thank you for tuning into this inaugural. Like, this is my first time doing a show just by myself, and I'm really honored to do it. I tell you, we're in such a weird climate, man. We're in such a weird climate. Uh, Folks are really, they're not hungry anymore. They're starving. Okay. And there's a lot of things where I'm a little surprised at sort of, you're always going to have these situations where you apply for a job and it feels like you're applying in the abyss and all that. But when you have a Reddit group, you're not going to believe this. There is a Reddit group called Recruiting Hell. Hell. And a friend of mine turned me on to this. If yeah, you guys remember Michael Honeycutt Southern. We were talking the other day, and he was looking at this, and it's phenomenal. It's hilarious, but it's phenomenal. There's a lot of I would say, I don't know. I would say it kind of falls on the recruiter in some way, shape, or form, or the company, right? Maybe it's not the recruiter. Maybe they are in a situation where they're not getting feedback, or they send the resumes on. With talent acquisition, it's a little different than recruiting. Forgive me, got the sniffles. It's a little different because it's designed to gather, right? It's sort of set up in a way to gather. So, a lot of agency recruiters that go into talent acquisition, it's a little different for them because, they're hunters, we're want to go out there and want to make it happen. Right. But in and of itself, talent acquisition, it's a gathering. It's not a hunter, it's a gatherer. Right. But that's not the way I've ever worked talent acquisition. I've always worked it as a hunter. Now, that said, sometimes you get into situations where, even if you talk to the person, you know what I mean? Your schedule gets so full that sometimes it's hard to get back to everybody in a timely way. And you know what? When I've done it, I've owned it. 1000% owned it. But I'm going through this Reddit subgroup. Is that what it called? Reddit, is it the subgroup? Anyway, I'm going through this, and it's really interesting. The vast majority of people on this subgroup are, applying, right? And one of the main, gripes is they apply and nobody gets back to them. Fair enough. That happens all the time. It's happened to me, right? The other one is they apply, they get a call, they get the interview, right? With the recruiter at least. And and everything's going great. And then all of a sudden, what happens? The recruiter calls them, maybe doesn't call them. There's no feedback, right? That's a big thing with people. You got to think of it this way too. Recruiters, I want to, I'm kind of reading out here. Sorry about that. Well, yeah, sorry if the audio was bad. You got to be careful. Honestly, you really do. You got to be careful because oftentimes a hiring manager, a recruiter, and honestly, it's the recruiter's job, right? It's the recruiter's job to get the feedback back to the candidate. You gotta but think of it this way. Think of it if you were looking for a job, everything's going. This happened to me. I was contacted for a director of recruiting in a very large oil and gas company. And interview went great. Interview went great. I was a little hesitant because, but interview went great. And yeah, take a sip. And I think I talked to that recruiter 3 or 4 times in a day. They had me do different things, like weird stuff that I'd never done. Reply to this email and say you're gonna work with me exclusively. No problem. Blah, blah, blah. Then then there's an application, and it's like, application. Okay, well, all right, fine. I've done that. And that's another thing we can talk about too. Applications are crazy these days. Do I fill out the application? Whatever. Anyway, I talked to them like 4 times and they're like, I am calling the client right now. Great. Well, you're not calling them right now. You're on the phone with me, but okay. My next suggestion was going to be, why don't you call the client with me on the phone? How about that? I'm good to go. Let's handle this. But anyway, I all but have the interview with the client. Okay. Everything's going good. She calls me back. I think in 2 days afterwards, says I was on the phone. I was on the phone when she called back. Next thing you know, leaves a voicemail. I return her call. Nothing. All of a sudden, she became Casper. And on the voicemail, she's saying that I have the interview. I need to know what time on Thursday. You can go down there. Let's put this. Let me backtrack a little bit. Okay. Sorry. Let me backtrack a little bit. The office that I would have been working at, literally 4 miles from my house. Conceivably, I could walk there, and God knows that I need the exercise anyway, but is what it is. She becomes Casper. I called back. I called the regular directory. Talk to some recruiter. Tell him who I'm working with. Voicemail, nothing. Didn't hear from him. And all I wanted to do was confirm the interview. I was returning your call. I couldn't take the call when I was on the phone. That's the kind of stuff that is happening. And I share that very long-winded story to sort of, I don't know, help legitimize some of these recruiting. Let's look at this one. This shouldn't even be legal. Went to a job interview on Friday and spent the last $40 I had on Uber there and back. Right there. There's got to be some consideration when, just on the very, I would say, just doing your job level feedback for a candidate. So just hear me out. Before even scheduling the interview, the hiring manager told me that he was impressed with my resume, so I was confident that I was making the right decision and I would land the job. Okay, right there for the candidate, you haven't landed anything. Okay, look, I could be impressed walking down the street and seeing a Ford GT. I love those cars. Impressive. Doesn't mean I'm going to buy one. Okay. And it's a harsh analogy, but there's a lot of things that hiring managers say that they mean. I'm impressed with your resume. Absolutely. But being impressed with a resume does not guarantee you the job. You make assumptions like that and you set yourself up for failure. Further, if you go into the interview, let's just say, and we're going to keep reading here, but if you go into the interview thinking you've already got the job, guess what? It's a different conversation. But when you have a job, I don't know what it is, but there's an energy, right? When you have a job, it's a different, you have the power. They got to recruit you. But let's say you don't have a job, right? You got to be confident, as if you have a job. You have to have that same energy because it's a different conversation. I don't know what it is, but the energy is different. You can tell the hiring manager, the recruiter that, oh yeah, I got a job right now, but I'm telling you, honesty is always the best policy. Let's keep reading on, but just the point is, don't assume. Okay. Confident I was going to land the job. They were offering $20 an hour. And since my last job paid 15, I was pretty eager. So when I got there, the hiring manager asked what position I applied for. Huh? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Whatever. So I'm going to land the job, but then the hiring manager is impressed with my resume. But then when I get there, he doesn't know what I applied for. Okay, let's read on. So when she told him, he said, "Oh, that position isn't available, but we keep it up there to get more applicants." That is called a ghost job description or a ghost post. Okay. Different connotation. What happens with that is sometimes, and it is highly, highly unethical. What happens with that is when a hiring manager or a recruiting department hiring manager, and you know, a lot of recruiting firms still do this, highly unethical, but they keep it on there to get what they call inventory, right? So they call it inventory recruiting. So for example, if I don't have a job I'm working on, but I'm calling, you know, people off of Dice or off of Indeed or off of LinkedIn or whatever, and I'm just calling to say, hey, I'm introducing myself. You know, that's one thing. You want to get the conversation started, you want to get a relationship started, right? But uh, when you put up a job description so your inventory is good and get more applicants, and then all of a sudden the hiring manager calls this candidate, says, I'm impressed, come down and see me. That ain't cool, man. That ain't cool. But they do that so they have people in their database, right? So they can justify their CRM, so they can justify their ATS, all of that, right? Okay, so let's keep going. Then what he does a short laugh as if it's funny to waste people's time and money. I'm adding the money, but you're wasting people's time and money. And then he tells me that there's another position they have available and they're offering 14. So the guy kind of, he gets her in there, and then see how that just darkened that light. He gets her in there, says that position isn't available. Oh, and by the way, we operate in an unethical way to get candidates. Look, I'll tell you like this, and I'll, you know, full transparency. If there's one thing about this show you can count on, it's the absolute unvarnished 1000% truth. When I was young in my career, I did that. I did that. You know what I didn't do? When I called them, I didn't say, hey, by the way, I tricked you. Okay. I never did. There would always, if I did that, it was because I was closing with a client and I already knew I had the job. All I was waiting for was a signature. But I would never, it's just unethical. It's so unethical. You know, I had the opportunity to be trained by some of the absolute best in the business. Not only that, I had already been a manager of actors, models, and musicians. Look, you don't do that. You know why? You get it's a horrible reputation for your company. It turns you into a Reddit post, and it just puts a big damp shadow or blanket, whatever you want to call it. Well, I hate that word damp. It's about the same as moist. You put that awful, whatever you want to call it, on the industry. There's one thing about me when I was recruiting, it's this. You know, I made mistakes. I'm not perfect, obviously. But ethics, honesty was always, that's, you know, you gotta have that. If you don't, as a recruiter, let me tell you, as a hiring manager, let me tell you, you've given up all of your power, your so-called power, because now nobody's going to trust you. You know, any job you have, it's not a marriage. I hate to break it to you, but it's not. It's a long-term engagement, period. But let me ask you a question. Would you go in, let's say you're engaged, let's say you're dating. If you don't trust that person, would you go forward with an engagement with them? No, no. Same with a job. People, jobs are amazing. Companies are amazing. Their marketing's always geared toward how great we are. But you know what the other part of that marketing is they don't say it, but this is the way it is. From the inside, I'm telling you, this is the way it is. That marketing is geared toward, we're so great, don't you want to work for us? Wouldn't it be great if you came on board with us? It's always that. So he tells me there's another position. They're offering $14 an hour, lower than what I made at my last job. Already spent $20 to get there. It's also completely irrelevant to the position I applied for, and I would basically have to harass people on. I would. I'm sorry, that's funny. I would basically have to harass people on the phone all day. That's fun. You could do that, but then when you're harassing them, like, do it in different accents. You know what I mean? Like, one day be from Minnesota and then Chicago, then from Florida, Texas. You know what I'm saying? It's fun. It's fun. I've done that. All right. The position I applied for didn't even require me to talk to clients at all. Interesting. I feel like it shouldn't even be legal to deceive people like this. I agree, but it's not, here's the thing, and let me address this right now. Let's say it's against the law to do this. Terrible. Oh, against the law. Well, here, let me tell you something, man. That's one way that you can gauge if you even want to work there. I have placed people making $250,000, 500 grand a year. Their total package sometimes 700,000 up to $1 million. I've placed people for 50 grand, 60 grand, whatever it is. Okay. Let me tell you something. If that isn't right, and you're going to be dealing with stuff like this, that's going to be the hardest amount of money that you will ever earn. Period. That'll be some hard time cash. The days will move slower, which, isn't it weird? It feels like days and time moving faster anyway. That's another thing. But it will be hard. Your team will be difficult. I'm telling you, it is terrible. It'll be the hardest amount of money you'll ever earn. So here's the other thing. It's not ethical. It's legal, ain't ethical. So this is a way that you can gauge if you even want to work for that company. Okay. It'd be nice to know who they were. I'd love to know who's doing this. This would be great. I can't even believe this is real, but let's I literally can't get over how I wasted the little that was left in my bank account when it could have went towards something else, like food. That'd be nice. I knew I was taking a risk, but they have no idea how much they inconvenience people with crap like that. Look, this is beyond inconvenience. An inconvenience is I have to wait in line at the grocery store. I hate that. I hate the grocery store anyway, but having to wait in line, that's an inconvenience. Okay. What we're talking about is absolutely unethical. And any hiring manager to the sound of my voice, if you're doing this, I mean, who does that? Who would say, I keep reading out. I hope this audio is okay. I'm going to check it out. But who would say, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and tell this person, if you're doing it, that's bad enough. But I appreciate the fact that the person was honest with her. But why would you schedule a meeting? I mean, I read that right? Said he was impressed with my resume. So I was confident I was making the right decision. So they talked on the phone. She was going to land the job. They schedule an appointment. She goes, takes her last $20, for an Uber ride. Gets there, and the hiring manager says, "What are you applying for?" I don't even know what this is about, man. I really don't. But here's the thing: it happens all the time. It happens all the time. There's a couple things in here that the person in of themselves, and I don't care if you're making $15 an hour, I don't care if you're making 58,000 an hour. It doesn't matter. The point is that you can never assume you have anything. Nothing is ever closed until your name is on the paper. Period. So don't do that. But hiring man, that is so unethical. But you know what? And I hope this person sees this. Hey, guess what? You just X'd out somebody that you really don't want to work for. Hey, we're going to come back. We're going to take a break real quick. When we come back, we're going to have more from this Reddit group of recruiting hell. Okay, stay with us. We're going to talk about Jane's Physical Therapy. Oh my gosh, you want to work there. So stay tuned. We'll see you on the other side. Hey, everybody. Wanted to come on and tell you a story. It's a little personal. I've been in a couple accidents that were pretty severe. Rear-ended. At one, I was on the freeway, did a 360. It injured me pretty badly in 3 parts of my back, my hips, and my left leg. On those accidents, on the first one, I didn't get any physical therapy. On the second one, I did. But there was injuries still there. And then when I was a traveling working musician, my shows were pretty lively, and I would re-injure myself, so I would lay on ice when, after a show before I could meet anybody. That said, the physical therapy really helped me. It helped me get back to performing. It helped me walk again. In late 2020, I injured my back again and could hardly walk. Getting from my house to the car was a problem. I can't imagine what it would be like if I was homebound, okay? Like, let's say I had a surgery and I couldn't get to the physical therapist. It would be a severe problem. Let me tell you something. Jane's Physical Therapy is almost enough for me to move to New Orleans, okay? They are specialists in in-home healthcare, covering New Orleans, North Shore, and they're amazing. Casey James, the managing director of Jane's Physical Therapy, he's incredible. Second to none. We've gotten a chance to meet him and to really talk with him, fellowship with him. He is awesome, and his physical therapists are specialists. They are awesome, incredibly amazing. Look, there's a process on how you would work with him, but I'm telling you, go onto LinkedIn. Okay, here's the deal. They're looking for 2 more physical therapists in the New Orleans area. Go on to LinkedIn, okay? Connect with him there. You can even go to his LinkedIn page on LinkedIn. Casey James, CASEYJAYNES. Connect with him there. Send him your resume. The website will be up soon, so you'll be able to send resumes there. Or you can even send them to me. Go onto my LinkedIn page and shoot me a message, and we'll even set up a conversation. But I'm telling you, it's an amazing opportunity. The money's great, and working with Casey is really incredible. Okay, he's got a really great network, and a wonderful staff of physical therapists that contract really all over. But for these positions, we're looking in New Orleans and in the North Shore area. I'm still familiarizing myself with Louisiana, but I tell you, you want to go to Jane's Physical Therapy, JAYNES. As soon as the website's up, we'll let you know. Go onto LinkedIn. In the search tab, type in JAYNES Physical Therapy and connect with him. Follow his page. You will be so glad you did. All right. So I hope it's not too long, but let's get on with the show. Hey, everybody. Brad Clark here. Welcome back to Work Your Career Wednesday. Oh, man. I'm so thrilled and honored that you're joining me today for my first solo show. It's really great. I'm having a great time, and I hope you are too. We're going through the Reddit, this group on Reddit called Recruiting Hell, and I'm telling you, there's so much to glean from these. I mean, I can't believe that these mistakes are still happening, right? This one's interesting to me because, where I've been done TAs and stuff like, or, even, uh, at an agency, we would fly people out, right? Particularly if they're looking to relocate, right? So even if I was an agency recruiter, a lot of times what we would do for our clients is if we had an out of town candidate, what we would do is we would fly them out on our dime, right? And I think this is what happened here. But, because here's the deal: a company isn't going to spend the money um, unless they think that the person's good. At least they shouldn't, right? And I mean, the last company I was with, we knew if they were good and that Zoom call went well, we knew that um they were probably going to be good. Now there were sometimes we had some lemons sometimes, they'd come out, they do their challenge, they do the group interview and all of that, and it wouldn't work out. But, we wouldn't fly them out if it wasn't necessary. And this is one of those things where I think that the agency paid for this plane ticket. Anyway, so this is really interesting. So it's called Flew Out for the Interview. Okay. So how do a recruiter reach out for a client? Okay. So it's an agency. After the Zoom interview, they ask for an in-person. Okay. So the person is thinking they got something going here. Okay. This is great. I agree. And you know what? Here's the thing. They're looking for a job, right? And they're looking to relocate for whatever reason they're looking to do that. And guess what? They call their friends, they call their girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever it is, and they're excited. I mean, because flying out, and you're probably going to be flying business or maybe first, you feel like they're interested, they're going to take care of you, you feel great about the people that you've talked to, you're assuming they feel great about you because, hey man, they're flying you out, right? So get this. Okay, so it's very this, there's a reason why this stuff like this sticks in people's craw. So they set it for 2 weeks out. Let me tell you something right now after I take this sip. Get this in your head. Okay. In fact, when I was at one of the largest recruiting firms on the planet, one of the oldest too, on our whiteboard, we had this piece of paper. Okay. I'll never forget it. And it was big, big letters, big block letters at TKD. That means time kills deals. I don't care what it is. Time kills deals. They set this thing for 2 weeks out. That would be a red flag for me, honestly. And I know why they did it, because they probably looked at the schedule of the hiring manager. They're always blocked, right? Blocked. And the recruiter, especially if they're an agency, they have no power over it. And the recruiter is probably dealing with the talent acquisition people anyway. So the talent acquisition person's going and they got other stuff to do, right? So they're looking at the schedule and they put it out for 2 weeks out. There's a couple things with that. The talent acquisition, if they're any good, I found it abhorrent to use an agency when I was a TA, or even if I was on contract. I hated it. I hated the fact that I couldn't do my job well enough. I had to go to an agency because they could do it better. I hated that. So let's say let's give them benefit of the doubt, right? That they're not even thinking that. They're just wanting to get the job filled, right? Because hey, less they have to do. So, but they set it for 2 weeks out. That 2 weeks gives that TA ample time to fill that job themselves. Okay, so let's keep going. So they set it for 2 weeks out. That would have been like, but still, they're flying me out. Get your information. We're gonna, it's a thing. It's a thing. It makes you feel good because they're not going to do it unless they really like you, unless they want you, unless it's a thing. It's an effort that doesn't necessarily have to happen unless they're very interested moving forward. So let's keep going. 2 weeks out, I have no problems and make it happen. The recruiter gives me everything imaginable to help. Now think about this. Think about this. So they want to fly the guy out or the person out. The recruiter is beside themselves excited. They found the right candidate. So much so they want to see him in person. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna make this deal happen. Oh my goodness. If I was that recruiter, I would have said 2 weeks. Are you sure? I would have pushed back. Here's the deal. Recruiters, let me tell you something. You have to be a subject matter expert in what you do. You are not an order taker. If you are an order taker, I am telling you, you're going to have a hard time in this business. The people that last over the 2-year mark, if you look at them and they have that reputation of being just a straight killer, and they're just, man, they are all about it. They are TKD, ABC, always be closing, and time kills deals. They have it. They have a necklace. They have it tattooed on themselves. Like they are, right? But if you're an order taker and you're not at least commanding some sort of respect, look, respect is earned, right? But if you're an SME in what you do and you don't tell that client, listen, 2 weeks, I got this guy on, I don't know, on like 3 different interviews. Or be upfront and honest. This guy's interviewing. He's not only interviewing, he's interviewing in your town. Can we move this up a little? 2 weeks is a long time. That's an eternity. In fact, you should have the deal closed within 2 weeks or less. Let's keep going. Here's what I love about the recruiter, though. Names, titles, gave them questions. The candidate, I can tell right now that the candidate preparation for this was stellar, top notch. Okay. Absolute. Let's go. I'm going to close this deal. This candidate is fantastic. And you know what is making me believe that they love him? You want to see him in person. But I can't guarantee it, but I bet you that plane ticket was on the agency's dime. Let's keep going. I get to the interview. Great flight. Get to the interview. I'm interviewing with 2 people who aren't on the list. And they're not the people I'm supposed to be interviewing with. First red flag, but whatever. Look, that's not really a red flag. That happens all the time. However, if you've never spoken to these people, remember, 2 weeks. That TA has now had 2 weeks, a 2-week lead time, and you think you're the only candidate? Come on, man. 2-week lead time to get that thing filled. But instead, they want to have options. You got to have options. So instead of just being upfront and honest about it, they go ahead with the interview. Sometimes, though, benefit of the doubt, right? Benefit of the doubt. Sometimes things happen. I mean, one of the companies I worked for, look, fast and furious, growing like mad. And sometimes, an internal deal is going to go way ahead of hiring you. I'm going to tell you that right now. So sometimes, like I said, it's a red flag, sure. But if you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, which you always should, because if you don't, it's going to mess with your energy. And they haven't given you any indication that anything's going on. Look, it's a good thing that you're interviewing with other people, potentially. Right? Because typically when that happens, you're interviewing with people whose opinion there's a lot of weight behind their opinion. So yeah, it's a red flag, but it's not something to be overly concerned about. Things happen. And if those people that you're dealing with have to go and service a customer or they're closing a deal or whatever, it's going to take precedent over talking to you. I'm just saying. And the people that you're going to be interviewing with, one more time, 9 times out of 10, their opinion is weighty. So sometimes, if you're interviewing with other people that you're not prepared to interview with, it's okay. It's okay. But interview with them as if you're talking to the person that you scheduled with. Because I'm telling you, when that happens, with the benefit of the doubt given, things come up, their opinion will probably supersede another interview. You won't even have to interview again because their opinion is so valued. Okay, so let's keep going. 17 minutes in, here we go. I'm going to have some coffee for this one. 17 minutes in, they tell me I'm not what they're looking for. Boom. Now, remember, these aren't the people that they're supposed to be interviewing with. And I'm going to tell you what happened in a minute. But they wanted to meet me in person because they like to check chemistry for possible later positions. Embarrassing and extremely frustrating. Where's the respect? Now, where's the embarrassment? With everybody they told. This company, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. What if their parents live there? And they're like, hey, I think I'm going to get this job. I mean, they're flying me out. You wouldn't do that unless you really like me, right? You wouldn't do that. Maybe their significant other, who knows? This is our chance. I'm going to be able to move out there. I really like this company. I really like the people. I love what they do. Oh man, that's the embarrassment. People in positions of hiring, recruiters, hiring managers, like, look, there's very rarely, for example, the company that I worked for before, we were very like hyper aware in some cases, which if you're hyper aware of anything, man, my hair's doing weird stuff. If you're hyper aware of anything and you're trying to, sometimes that can get in the way. But we were candid experience, treating people with respect, understanding that if we fly somebody out, let me tell you something. It's not because we want to check chemistry. Let me tell you something too. Studies have shown, and this is true with anything, within the first 8 seconds, you're going to know if you want to hear from this person. So, for example, you tune in, right? 8 seconds in, I got 8 seconds for you to want to stick around and see what I got to say. When you meet someone, 8 seconds. From the handshake, that's it. Zoom calls and video calls and all that, you're going to know if you want to talk to them again. You're going to know. We were hyper aware and really made sure if we're flying these people in, because it's on our dime, right? Because I'm working internally. If we're flying these people in, we're interested. And again, sometimes it didn't work out. This is the way it is. But we didn't fly them in because we wanted to check chemistry. We wanted to fly them in because we wanted to find out if they knew chemistry. You understand what I'm saying? So this is really interesting. So here we go. Benefit of the doubt is shattered. They put 2 people up. And who knows? Now let's see this. What if those 2 people are afraid that this guy or this girl is going to take this job? This person is going to take their job. Oh my goodness gracious. That never happens. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. I like them. They're a little too good, right? So who knows what happened in the course of events of those 2 weeks, that eternity that it took them to fly him out. or her out. That's an eternity. They probably filled the job. And instead of just calling the person and saying, hey, listen, we filled it. Or what they were doing is they were seeing, so it was a chemistry test. So they were thinking about hiring the person that they had talked to within the span of those 2 weeks, and they wanted to bounce it off. They wanted to make sure. They wanted to do their due diligence. Yeah. Word to the wise for any client, any company, any TA, any HR, don't do that. Don't do that. Do you understand? I mean, do you remember? Like, sometimes people don't even know what it's like to be unemployed. Sometimes people don't remember what it was like when they were looking for a job. And if they have it, it doesn't matter. It's a matter of respect. And now we have recruiting hell on Reddit, and there's a couple that I won't read because they talk about, they say who the client is or who the company is. I mean, even though I want to know, they're respectful enough not to divulge that. But look, man, this is a respect thing. At the end of this is embarrassing and extremely frustrating. Where's the respect? They didn't have any. We live in a time where people will say they're so concerned with feelings, don't want to offend. That is highly offensive. Highly offensive. Listening to that, are you offended? I'm offended. Because I've worked in places that just simply doesn't happen. Let me tell you something. If you got another candidate that you're stacking up against, I mean, look, that's the worst thing. We want to talk to you. We wanted to talk to you and fly you out. I know you told everybody, you told everybody that, hey, here's it. I love this thing. Man, the people are great. Oh, man, it's in the city I want to go to. Wow. There was no consideration for that person. None. And you want to worry about your reputation? You're worrying about the wrong thing. Your reputation is everything. But what reputation are you trying to uphold? Because it's certainly not something that, people do. You're going to fly this person out. Automatically, you're saying, I like them enough. I think they would fit in my team enough that I'm going to fly them out. But we just wanted to see 17 minutes in. Nope, they lied to you. You will never hear from them again. Ever. 17 minutes in. You couldn't have just put a Zoom call up there with the people that, the hiring manager probably didn't want to talk to them because they already hired somebody. So, hey, you guys talk to them. Tell me what you think. 17. I mean, did you give them a sandwich? Did you at least give them a sandwich? Did you take them out to eat? Nope. You Ubered him right back to that airport. Thank you. See ya. It's not right. It's not right. And let me tell you, I don't know whoever is going to see this. Kudos to the recruiter. Fantastic job. Prep that candidate to where that candidate's going to go in, and if everything was on board and everything was on par, they would have probably landed that job. Nicely done. That's what a recruiter needs to do. Sorry, I keep messing with my hair, but I got these wispies getting in my face. It's messing with me. That's what a recruiter is supposed to do. You prep your candidate for war. Okay. In any company that's worth their salt, particularly if they're new and they're up and coming, you know what that company does? That company should equip you for war. That company should have the place you in armor, give you a sword, and let's go conquer something. The recruiter needs to know that company so well that they could be out at a restaurant and recruit somebody at a restaurant. Did that all the time. I remember we were looking for chemical engineers, and I was out at this restaurant, a really nice restaurant in Houston. It's kind of funny because it's a sushi restaurant attached to an Irish pub. It's really crazy. But anyway, I go outside, and there sits a chemical engineer from Australia for one of the largest oil and gas companies on the planet, and he was going around the world researching, going to different plants around the country, really around the world, to see how their scientists are going to tackle green energy, And he had dual citizenship, the United States and Australia, I believe, or he was in the middle of getting it or something like that. And I recruited him for us. But you need to know your company, let me back up. You need to know your client so well that it wouldn't matter what setting you're in. You can if you're talking to someone and they happen to fit a job that you're let me say something, a recruiter worth their salt is never not recruiting. Sorry. Everybody you talk to is a potential lead. Everyone you talk to could know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. I don't care where it is. You could be jogging. You could be at a dog park. You could be at a bar. You could be at a restaurant. It does not matter wherever you're at. And what's funny is that if you're people seem to kind of come in your life anyway. So kudos to that recruiter. Absolute. Nicely done. That candidate, on behalf of the entire industry, I am sorry. Sometimes, we can't control what companies do. But recruiters, learn these two words: client control. I can't control the client. I can't do it. Yes, you can. Recruiters are so desperate to close a deal these days. I mean, I don't know. There's, I don't know. I've never seen anything like it before. Stop it. Be a subject matter expert in what you do. Okay. Prepare your candidates. And the only way you're going to know that is to prepare to know your client. To that candidate, again, I'm sorry, but this kind of stuff, man, I am telling you, in the coming weeks, we're going to have a lot more from this group because, my goodness, there's so much here that we can address. But yeah. Anyway, let's take a break. Woo, man, this is fun. I hope you're having a good time. Stick with me. We'll be right back after this. See you on the other side.
White Husky Films. Dream, create, record. We create ads and promos for your business. We can promote your video on television, Facebook, YouTube, Hulu, and more. We do a full Google SEO analysis for you with any plan. Call us today at 305-744-1444 or visit our website at whitehuskyfilms.com. White Husky Films. You'll be glad you did.
Everybody, welcome back. Work Your Career Wednesday. Bradley Clark, my first solo show. I hope you enjoy it. I've had such a good time, and I hope you've gotten something out of this. The whole point of our show is to empower. Okay. Look, you don't know how much power you have. Stop giving it away. I've made that mistake before. I made that mistake. And I've talked about it on the show. You know, stop giving your power away. Now I'm not saying to be air. The most powerful people I've ever known are some of the most humble people. But they just are. Nothing really to prove. They're just humble, thankful. That's the other thing. Be thankful, even when it seems bleak and you can't land anything. The wolf's at the door. You're about to get evicted. I mean, all that. Look, be thankful. Be thankful. Thankful for what, Brad? Thankful that you're still alive. Thankful for the fact that even though they keep throwing it at you and you keep bobbing and weaving but they keep punching, they're connecting. You're about ready to get knocked out. It's that one, bam. Life's going to hit you and it's going to hit you hard. But boy, I'm so thankful that I'm alive to take the hits and learn from each one. And be thankful. Be thankful. Sometimes people, it's hard sometimes, especially if we don't have anybody. Oh boy. Be thankful that the people that aren't supposed to be in your life aren't in it. Thankful. Thankful. Here's the thing. It's what this show aims to do. Encourage. Be encouraged. Look, if you didn't land that job, I got ghosted by that recruiter just because I was on the phone, couldn't answer it right away, couldn't stop to and get it. I guess I just wasn't right for that job. Maybe I just wasn't meant to be there. Well, I don't know. Maybe I was meant to be doing this and talking to you. Be encouraged. Be encouraged. When you're empowered and you remain thankful, power is not arrogant, just like love is not arrogant. It's not prideful. It doesn't boast. Empowered is confidence in what you do. Sometimes we just need to be encouraged to remember that we do have power. It's not within us. It's within, God gives us that. Sometimes it's a situation where you're absolutely, completely reliant on God, and that's what he's trying to teach you. Look, if he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills and he knows when a sparrow falls, I was just telling this to a young man earlier today. If he knows all that, he's going to know you. He's going to know you. Sometimes we have to learn to trust, and that's hard to do, especially if you're like me. And trust don't come easy. The other thing we try to do here is to educate. I went through three scenarios. Talked about two. And it's funny. I was trying to see if I could go live on my Instagram while I'm doing. Look, inaugural show. I'm gonna make mistakes. I don't know if I know how to do this. Okay, wait a minute. Live. All right. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see. I'm going live. Hey guys, I'm going live on my Instagram. I'm going live on my Instagram. This is great. But sometimes we just need to be encouraged. When you're empowered, you're thankful. right? Sometimes we need that encouragement in order to be empowered. Thankful. It all comes down to being grateful and thankful. We had him on the show. Dusty Dollins got a great book out called Militant Thankfulness. I encourage you guys to get it. It's amazing. But sometimes we go through these hardships so God can teach us, listen, I own the cattle on 1,000 hills. Trust me, I got you, right? Another one before I was so rudely interrupted is being 1,000%. Okay. And I am talking 1,000% open to be educated. You know what's funny? We had Tony Busby on the show, and it was really interesting. We went through a lot of the stuff, went through his background, thousands of views. The third, we did a 3-parter with him, and the third show was about, the guy's a billionaire, the guy's hiring. So the third segment was all about, it's all about what he looks for when he hires. Lowest viewed out of the 3. Interesting, right? We have to be really aware and have the knowledge that we don't know everything. I couldn't believe it. Here's a guy that when he does an interview, it's really about what he's about, who he is. They don't go into much in his history, but I got him to list out what he looks for when he hires. Hello. Are you looking for a job? If you're a lawyer, you're a top-notch lawyer, this is the firm you want to work for. Hey, this is what he looks for. You have to be willing to accept that you don't know everything. So that's the other E in what we stand for, education. We want to educate you. And the fourth one, we hope you're entertained a little bit too. And one thing that I do know is that a little bit of sugar makes the medicine go down, right? I'm glad I can't believe I'm, thankful to Mike Honeycutt for letting me in on that Reddit group, the recruiting hell group. And the scenarios that we went over, I would like to say they're uncommon. At the same time, they're on there. So recruiters, you got to remember this too. And I really want to drive this point home. You, not your marketing team, not your managers, not anybody. You were the first introduction to the world for the company you're representing or the company you work for, period. You're the first one. So you got to remember that. You got to remember that you have an element of responsibility that is different than anybody else in the company. If you're not acting in an ethical way, that puts your company, it makes people think that your company's not ethical. We went over 2 scenarios where ethics were violated. It's horrible, horrible. And yes, it's embarrassing. But I hope as we went through it, and we went through it line by line, sentence by sentence, there were things that people could have done differently that they didn't do. And there were things that could have, on all sides. Right? And I hope you were entertained. I am just so excited. This is my first solo show. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember, go to White Husky Films if you want anything documented, recorded, podcast, anything like that. Jane's Physical Therapy, if you want to work for the premier home care physical therapist in Louisiana, I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. I'm seriously considering moving to New Orleans because of Jane's Physical Therapy, because God knows I need it. Check them out. Go to LinkedIn, JAYNES Physical Therapy. Go to White Husky Films page on there and apply. We're looking for 5. We're looking for 4 PTs and 1 PTA for Lafayette. for everyone. I'm so excited and thank you so much. I was so nervous to do this solo on my own, but I think we had a good show today. Remember this, that I love you and God bless you. And let his face shine upon you and give you great peace. Be excellent to yourself and each other. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, everybody.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Hey, if you like Work Your Career Wednesday and want to be notified every single time we have a new episode, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, smash it, get a hammer and get it. And
Yeah, that's fine.
too much?
No, that's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I love it. People want.
Do you hear Steven in the background? I was just making sure I'm going to be okay. But get that notification going. And hey, we will be letting you know, or I guess YouTube will be letting you know, when the next Work Your Career Wednesday is on. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Man, ding it, ring it, sling it, and bing it. All right? And we will see you soon. Work Your Career Wednesday. Oh, great. I'm glad you stopped by. Be sure to get that subscription bell, and I'll see you there.